Hey there, Ryan Kingsline here. Nope. Okay, give me the yes. I'm not. False alarm. All right, hey there, Ryan Kingsline here. Give me 2 seconds. Let me make sure that you guys can see my face and you can hear my voice. I want to talk about something today, and I am not seeing it live. There we go. I am live, and on YouTube, let's just confirm it is live. Today, I'm going to talk about how to grow your online presence. I got 5 ways for you on that, and we're going to walk through, my process. So live now. It's called something totally strange on YouTube. It's called Live with Tomas. Okay, we'll swap it out. All right, 5 ways to grow your online presence. I asked a little while ago my crew, what were some of the things that you wanted to learn about when you're thinking about building your own online business, doing your own courses, things of that nature. And if you head over to my screen, right now at ryankingsline.com, you can see there's how to build a business creating online courses. And there's a webinar right here, and I got several more coming this week that are going to be really important for you. So I want to make sure you know, head over here to ryankingsline.com, enter your name, your email, if you want to have a conversation about creating an online course. So if you come back to me, the thing to understand about this is that creating a business can be, there's a lot of complexity to it, but here in this moment that you and I are in today, we can create businesses really around our passion and around the things that we find purpose in. I've been doing this for 8 years. I've generated over $6 million. That's a really hard number for me to say. Like, it doesn't feel like that. And I never, ever thought that would happen to me, that I could do that, that would be in my life, that I could pull that off. And one of the keys is what we're going to talk about today, which is making sure that you're always providing value. So today's conversation is all about about 5 things for building online presence, how we build that online presence. All right. Have you hit record? All right, let's hit record. And you're on me. All right, so I'm going to repeat myself for those of you who are live. I want to show you 5 ways to grow your online presence. Let's jump into it. All right, check out my screen. Now, I've got this new thing I'm working on, this idea of live your awesome. And let's make sure we're in a drawing tool. Draw, and here we go. Because I want to teach people how to do what I have done over the last 8 years. And it starts with this notion of how do I create an online presence. And in order for us to really get in and explore that, I thought it would be really cool if we talk about the Latin presentia, right? I had to actually write the pronunciation down there, and I don't roll my R, so you'll have to excuse me. But presentia means to be at hand. And when you are thinking about ways to build your online presence, this phrase is key. Be at hand. So what I did, because now we've got about 180,000 likes on Facebook, we've got 30,000 followers on YouTube, I got about 6,000 on Instagram. The key thing that you have to understand about what I did is, in the beginning, I was doing webinars when nobody else was doing them. we'd get 1,500 people in webinars. This does not work today, but this is what I did back in the day. I did the thing that people were really interested in, which was webinars. I did it consistently, right? That's the key. Now, if I was to do this again today, these are the things that I would do in terms of the actions. I would be doing Twitch, and I'd be taking my Twitch and also pushing that over into YouTube. I'd be doing Facebook Lives, and I'd be finding writing partners. I'd be working with people that really are looking for more news and more publications. But the key thing that I want you to be thinking about here is these 5 rules. Number 1, be relevant. So if we're thinking about this idea of be relevant, you want to look in your space for what we call force multipliers. Basically, these are things that they're either companies or they're people or they're trends in your industry that are gathering a lot of steam, so people want to know about them. Or if they're companies that are gathering steam, but they need people to promote and talk about what they did. This is the number 1 thing I did. I was focused on ZBrush. I learned everything I could about ZBrush. I ended up actually working at the company later, and that put me in a position that without ZBrush, I'd never be able to be in my industry. I couldn't have done that alone. And that's the key thing that people have to understand is if you're out there trying to do it all by yourself, it's a very hard road, okay? You need to look for these force multipliers, like in my case, ZBrush. It's not the case today. If you're in the game industry, ZBrush is not going to be a force multiplier for you because it's diffuse across so many people. It's just part of the language we speak, but back then it wasn't. So those people who have their ear to the ground in the game market, they're in Substance Painter, Substance Designer. They're in the things that are really moving the needle, but people aren't quite getting them yet. Anytime you have this trend, but then people aren't getting it, that's your space. That's your area to build your name and kind of who you are and what you can do, because you become a force multiplier for that trend, and that trend becomes a force multiplier for you. You're doing something relevant. All right, let's take a look at the screen. Okay, you need to be present, but be present doesn't just mean, hey, meditation. What it means is that you have to focus on community. Gary Vee has this thing he calls the $80 principle, which means that every day you go on to 10 Instagram channels or people, and you leave your 2 cents. And you do that every day for a week, and at the end of the day, the math works out, you get about $1.80 out of the equation, okay? But all of that, it's a really cool way of saying comment, talk to others, give, not take. And this, if you're a creative, this can be a little strange because as a creative, we're used to thinking everything is about our work. So we post our work and we want attention, we want help, we want feedback. But are we giving that? Are we giving help? Are we giving attention to other people? So give. Don't just take. And if you give, like me, one of the things that I did that was really important was always putting on those webinars and giving content away for free. Valuable content. I've run over 80 courses, no, it's over almost 100 courses. The instructors are like, yeah, I'll give you this little bit of a teaser. And I always tell them, don't tease anything. That's not how this works, right? Give the best you got. That's what you want to do. You don't want to give a little bit and here's this little bit of the technique or a little bit of the ways that I do it. No, you give the best part of it away for free, because that's going to give you value. It's going to give your customer, the people, your audience is going to give them value. That's going to increase your value, and that starts the conversation that you need to have. That's if you're going to be doing things like creating a business around online courses. But if all you're trying to do is grow your followers or anything of that nature, which is really just another way of saying, I want to get more attention on what I do, to what I do. And if you want to do that, you add value to your community. So be present, okay? Make them feel like you are there, like you're engaged, like you're actively doing it. I was just talking to someone on Twitch, and one of the keys in Twitch is calling out your regulars by name. So when you have somebody come in, You call them out by name and, say thank them for being in there and say thanks for coming back again, things of that nature. You also respond to people in the chat. You're always talking to them and it's a conversation. Okay, those are really key because you're giving. It's not just expecting people to watch you do your magic or any of that nature, right? You give. That's the key thing. Now, if we come back here, the other thing that's important, and this is really part of giving, is consistency. Give them a sense of security that you're always there. This is another thing I did that was really important. I was always doing this. Every couple of weeks, I think it was every 2 weeks, I was doing some webinar. And this gives people security and that means that they can start to rely on you. And if they can start to rely on you, they can start to build you into their life. That's important because that's what we want people to do. We want people to feel like they can come to us and be with us for different things. Now, another one is be useful. Be useful. All right, I got a question from somebody that was asking, they were saying, I'm streaming all the time, but it's hard to get people to come back to me. It's just hard, I don't feel like they're coming back. And there's something that you have to be mindful of. Number one, I'm going to get to here in a second, but I want you to make sure that you always have an ask, or not always, but that you have an ask there, right? So that you can involve people. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing is you need to be useful and you need to be dispassionate about this idea of usefulness. You need to stop for a second and think, am I in my head and what I need? Or have you started to think more about how you can be of service? And this is one of the most amazing parts about this industry right now. It's one of the most amazing parts of my life is that I have been able to generate this much revenue for myself, for my partners, right? For the people that I launch classes for, and the community, we add that much value to the community, and people get careers, they get jobs, the boot camps, we get people getting jobs out of that, and it's just this wonderful thing where you can have a passion. Like for me, this passion of traditional art meeting digital art. You can have this passion, and then just by being of service to this passion, you can create a life for yourself. That's pretty powerful. Stop and think about that for a second. That you can create your life, a life, like you can provide for your family. I mean, I live in Laguna Beach. I had to drag my wife here, but she loves it now. And now that we're here, this is just a beautiful, wonderful life for my family. We live, right next to the school. I walk my daughter up there. I get to walk her every day. Nobody can tell me, no. I have the total freedom to do what I want because I've built a business, a life around being of service to my passions and my interests. And that's something I hope for you to achieve as well. It's one of the reasons why I'm starting this whole week of this conversation. So make sure you stay tuned this week to all of these things. And make sure you head over to ryankingsline.com so that I know to email you and keep you up to date. All right. But the key thing, add value. In order to add value, the first part of that equation that you have to do is you have to remove yourself. And you need to look, what is the value people need? Not, hey, I'm online and I'm streaming and I'm showing and I'm just doing my thing. But no, stop for a second. What do people need? How can I add value to their life? Do my streams add value to their life? And if they don't add value to their life, you got to figure out what can. One of the things I learned early on is that it's not important for me to necessarily show I'm awesome. Ultimately, I learned, people aren't watching us because they want to see us. They're watching us because they want to see themselves or they want to see something for themselves. Right? We're all like that. We all go to a site and it's not that we want to learn from this one person, but it's that we want to learn something for ourselves. So one of the things I learned was I don't have to be awesome. I have to help other people be awesome. And if I can help other people be awesome, that's great. So you might be sitting here thinking, how do I get people and influence and grow my online presence? How can you be useful to people? And that doesn't mean how can I show them this really cool way to do my craft or my business, nothing like that. What this means is, how can you be useful? So in my field, one of the things that really impacts a lot of us artists is psychology. How do I have confidence? How do I push through resistance, right? And so when I first launched my very first class a long time ago, let's leave it at that. I did this anatomy training and I paired it up with this idea of Valley of the Suck, which wasn't an idea, it was an actual existence for me. And so the pairing up of these two didn't matter what the anatomy was. You had to provide value here, but really the key thing was just helping people understand that you can be in this Valley of the Suck and there is a way out, and it is a valley, it's not the whole planet. So don't get stuck in what you think you know. Look for some of the resources that are around you. How are the ways that you can frame and have a conversation about what people are trying to do? That's equally important. All right. Now let's take a look at the screen. Next thing that I really want you to keep in mind is have an ask. This is one of the things I think people mix or mess up all the time. So somebody might be, hey, like I'm streaming all the time. So I'm streaming, Ryan. I'm over here, and I got people they coming in, and I got 10 people today. And then I got 5 people the next day. And then I got 10 people, and then I got 3 people, right? And so what happens when people come in here is the only thing they get is seeing you kind of go around and do your business and stream or whatnot. Is there something you can give them? Is there an ask that you can have? The thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want them to come here, but then you want them to come back. But you got to have a reason, okay? You got to have a reason somewhere around here. Why are they still in your world? Why would they stay here? Why come back? What value can you offer? Maybe you can offer an ebook. Okay? Maybe you have a blog you can direct people to. Maybe you have a newsletter, even though I hate newsletters. I think they're the worst thing on the planet for people to get into because they have an opt-in rate of about 2%. Whereas when you add value, you can get opt-in rates of 30%, significantly higher. Right? Is there a podcast you can start? Super, super important. Right? Is there some resource you can share? Something that can go on, a site like Gumroad. Or start to create your own custom domain. Something like in Kajabi or Thinkific, right? But a resource so that they come in here. See, the thing is you don't want to be fishing anew every single day. You don't want somebody to come in here and be like, okay, and then they're off. So you have 10 people come in, you have 10 people leave, and then there's nothing for them to be attracted to, so they're gone. What you want is you want 10 people to come in, you want, let's say 7 people to go, and you want 3 people to come over here to one of your resources, and then those people who come over to your resources, you're in their inbox, so they're going to come back here, which means the next day that you have 10 people, you don't have 10, you actually have 13. All right, and so now you have 13 people come in, you have 6 people, you have 3 of those people, or let's say this number goes up and it goes to 4 people come in, and you have 9 people go. Well, that means that the next day, if all goes well, now you have 17 people coming in. Okay, but now out of 17, what's the percentage? This is called a conversion. How many people convert to following you or accepting one of your resources? Let's say you get this and you've got, let's say a 10% conversion. So, well, we were going with, I think, a 30% conversion, right? Which is very high, so don't get me wrong there. And so now you get 5 people that accept a resource, and out of that you get 12 people that go away. But again, those people now come back, so the next time you have 10, plus you have 3 from the following, plus 3, plus 5, now your numbers are starting to go up, right? So now you're starting to get 21 people. So, always have an ask or be working on an ask. Really key component here. When we talk about running a business built around online classes, you want to be always having some launch going on, right? Like a lot of people, what they'll say is, hey, I can't launch this business because I don't have followers. But people on your email list, they only come because you're launching something, because they want to be excited about something. They want to do something. So you got to launch for people to join you on the journey, to be able to have people in the list, to be able to launch them. And so what you've got to keep in mind about building followers is be patient and have an ask, so that the people that come in, they probably want more, right? They want something from you. It's like you don't go to a restaurant and you stand outside of a restaurant and you look at the menu and you're like, oh, it's a great menu, and then walk away. Like you look and, oh, it's a great menu. I want something on that menu, or I don't. But the people who want something on that menu, you want to be able to give them that. So you're here as an influencer, as somebody who's looking to grow an online presence. And if you don't have an ask, you don't have a home. You don't have a car. You don't have gasoline. You just have a menu and hanging on a wall. And that's it. And that's only going to get you so many people. Once you get people in and they start to see what your resources are, what you offer, who you are, all of that good stuff, then they bring their friends, everybody comes in, and you get more and more people, and you start to create a cycle. And remember what Kevin Kelly, I think it's Kevin Kelly, said. You only need 1,000 true fans. I believe that still holds. You need 1,000 people that are willing to pay you $100, and if you have that within any given year, you have $100,000. $100,000 would go super long way. I don't care where you live. So $100,000 can make it happen, but not unless you have an ask. And this is the thing that a lot of creatives and people who are out there looking to kind of help others and that have big hearts is they just want to give. And I said that earlier, you got to give. But if you don't ask, you're just not going to get, right? It's an equation. You give, and you give enough to the point where there's a relationship and you can then ask. And then some will say yes and some will say no. Those who say yes, you move on. You continue the relationship with. Those you say no, you just, everybody's off and on their own way. But those who want to continue with them, you continue with them. All right? Let's see what else I got for you here. Okay, couple of problems. Let's look right over here. This is what I want to look at. Expert syndrome. I don't know enough, Ryan. And I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. Experts are annoying. You ever had somebody correct your grammar? Really not a fun time. Experts are annoying. Okay, people are not looking for experts. What they're looking for is they're looking for connection. You're going to hear me say this 100 times. I never present myself as an expert. I present myself as an artist who's gone down a journey and may be further along the path, but not an expert. Because at the end of the day, I'm not looking to be, someone's guru or some master or anything of that nature. I'm just exploring the same things you are, and I've gone a little further than you. Experts are not the solution. Sometimes all people are looking for, they're just looking for a friend. And I don't mean like a Facebook friend. I mean, they're looking for somebody that they can connect with, that's been there, that understands them, and that's maybe all you offer, is you just offer, I understand. You're just on some place like Twitch streaming and you're like, I get it, this is my problem, this is it. People, those things are incredibly powerful and empowering for other people. Just something. And then maybe what you have to offer is you can just give them a fresh perspective. Maybe that's the most important thing, right? You ever have those friends that you go to, they don't necessarily know what you do, but they always are able to look at it with fresh eyes. So I don't want you to sit here and think, hey, I have to be an expert, because you don't. But now the real thing that happens is this idea of ego protection. And Pressfield called this resistance. Really important. Now, resistance, it's important to understand. I love this quote by Stephen Pressfield right here. The apparition of resistance is by definition a good sign, because resistance never appears except when preceded by a dream. Except when preceded by a dream, right? Because now you want to achieve something. Now it's not about, I don't know how to say it, but it's not about the life that you used to have. It's not about your skill. It's just about your dream. And many of us will tamp down our dreams because we don't feel like we're worthy of it yet. Tell me if you've run into that. Leave me a comment. I would really love to hear. We tamp down our dreams because we don't feel like we're worthy of it. Like, I haven't learned enough. I haven't done enough. And so, we keep ourselves in line. How has that worked for artists and creatives throughout history, right? Keeping yourselves in line. Is that the most productive way for us to grow? Or is that just resistance? And so as you're thinking about this and how you grow your presence, the key thing to keep in mind is when you're doing this stuff and you start to feel this kind of fear, are you really just protecting yourself? Because there are people out there that need to hear your message. And if you are here in this corner, huddled up, giving into that fear, you're doing a disservice to the people that need to hear your journey. We all have journeys. We all have places that we have come from. When I was 12, my dad, in his infinite wisdom, moved us into a trailer park in Alaska. And if you haven't been to Alaska, it's probably one of the worst places to have a trailer park. It was not a good experience. That was the beginning of the descent. I never even graduated high school following that exact trend. I was doing great. I was programming in elementary. I was doing all kinds of stuff. My dad moves us into this, and then, within the next six years, life was a blur. And I never even finished high school because of all of that. So we all have this journey. That journey is something I like to share with people because I went from that trailer park and from never finishing high school to finishing college to a business that's generated $6.5 million that has been a service to tens of thousands of people in a pursuit of their dreams, right? That's the great part of this. And you can do that too. So here's what I want you to do. Check out my screen. This is what I want you to do because I want you to start to create or grow your online presence. And the key to this here is that we just brainstorm. So come up with 25 blog topics that you could write. What are 25 blog topics that you could write? And what you want to write them like blog topics. So, those cool, catchy headlines like 5 ways to grow your online presence. Wait, did I do that? I don't know. What about this? 3 keys to understanding Substance Painter, right? If you don't know that, don't worry. It's just in there for my game people. 3 keys to understanding Substance Painter. Oh, I can think of that right away. Layer stack. Holy crap. If you don't understand the layer stack, and if you don't understand PBR, and if you don't, right? What are the 3 keys to it? And you want to think of it like that. So write down 25, and I would love to hear 5 of them. So post 5 of the titles in the comments to this video. And then I want you to commit to it. Because you're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to commit. Right? The conversation that we have here, the conversation about building your business, about growing your online presence, which is the first step to growing a business, revolves around commitment. Commitment and integrity. Right? Commitment to add value to your community and the integrity to do what you say. If you don't do what you say, you erode that integrity. You want to know how to increase your productivity like 400%? Harvard did a nice little study on this. Follow through on your word. Now you may be coming here and you may have been thinking about starting a class online, putting a Gumroad, doing something, growing your presence. You might have been thinking about that. And you might have been saying to yourself, I'm going to do it. Now is your turn to do it. The reason you need to do it is because you will grow 400% by following through on your word. Okay? And I'm going to give you a simple task to do to make sure that you can follow through on it. Find 25 blog topics that you could do. Okay? Then write one. Just one. Just write one. Put it on medium.com, totally free, right? You don't need anything. Make a big ass Facebook post, whatever. Write one. Because growing something like your online presence is something that takes time. And since it takes time, you need to remember to stay focused on today. Because if you're sitting there looking at what you have, if you're always looking at the horizon, you're going to bump over the stuff in front of you. And the horizon's always moving, damn it. Because, it's always something else you can be doing. So you got to stay focused and happy on the present. You got to stay here in this moment, and you got to produce in this moment. Not in the next moment, you got to produce today. So leave me a comment. Let me know what some of these blog posts are, and I want you to commit to one of these. Now, I want to head over to the screen real quick. I want to make sure that you head over to ryankingsline.com to hear more about this kind of topic. Let me know if you want to hear more in the comments. If you do, head over to ryankingsline.com, sign up today so that I know to send you more information about how you're going to build a business creating online courses. And I don't know. Maybe change your life, right? Maybe make it so that you can make your car payment. Maybe make it so that you can pay off your student loans, whatever it is. But I'm a firm believer that everybody has something to share, and that you can learn how to position, how to package it, how to put it all together in a way that adds value to people's lives, and is going to then make a difference to yours. I'm a firm believer that everybody has this within them, and I want to show you how. All right? Okay, I got to head off to a class. Have fun, and I will talk to you later.